You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Micah Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
And welcome to the WBT. It is a beautiful day out here in southern Florida, South Florida, in Palm Beach to be exact. So what is our conversation going to be about today? Well, I hate to tell you this, but when legislatures get involved and start putting together assembly bills and Senate bills, it affects business. So today we're going to talk about specifically California and how they are really doing harm to California business. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Now, the reason I'm picking on California today is because I still represent clients in California, especially small business and medium-sized businesses. And I'm telling you, every single day they're being bombarded with new legislation that will cost their companies so much. That is why I'm telling you right now, the legislature and California are literally packing the bags of small business and moving and hauling them all the way to the border for them and pushing Californians over to Nevada and Arizona, Texas, Florida, states where companies are wanted and loved. California does not love small business. So I'm going to go over some laws that are currently in this legislature that are going to be voted on. And some of them, I bet you 100% of them will be passed because the legislature in California is so stupid. They're inept. They do not know how they're affecting business, and nor do they care. Nor do they care. The first bill is AB 850. Now, what that bill does, it forces employers to provide each employee a week in advance notice of what their work schedule is going to be for the next 21 days. Now you think about that. If you are in healthcare, let's say, you do not know how many patients are going to be in your beds. You don't know what's going to happen in 21 days. You don't know if there's going to be a major disaster. You do not know if some of those beds are going to be empty, and you're not going to need that staff. But you have to provide them with a work schedule for 21 days. And you have to give it a week in advance. Now that's a big burden on business. In fact, if you don't comply with it, then you are subject to penalties and fines. Or put it the other way around, fines and penalties. Because they're finding any way that they can to come after any business in California. No matter who you are or what size you are, what are you going to do with employees who work in a fast food industry? You can't give them 21 days in advance. You don't know what your meal count is going to be. You don't know what employees are going to be available at one time because their schedules change if they're going to school. A lot of them are going to school, so they don't know what their schedules are going to be. So it's the stupidity of the state legislature to force this upon business when it's impossible to do. It's literally impossible to do. But the state legislature is so stupid that they just want to force businesses right over to the border and say goodbye. The other ones, the other ones that are before me, I wrote this on notepads because I was jotting this down, and sometimes I can't read my writing, which is really, really bad. Okay? Oh, another one. AB 2826. This prohibits any store to separate the boys and the girls' clothing. Male or female, they all have to be put together. You can no longer separate them. Now, as a parent, it's easier if you know where the boys section is and where the girls section is. And that means dad can go with the boys and girls can go with the girls. They know which sections and where they are in the store. No longer can do that under this bill. You're going to have to put them all together. You can no longer label them male or female. Now, why does government have to get involved in that? They don't. Why does government have to come down on business and say, you know what, our political beliefs is that boys are girls and girls are boys, and that's what you have to live with. Because we're the politicians and we make the rules. If you own a business that has boys and girls products, even if you're a sporting goods store, even if you're a clothing store or a shoe store or a baby store, you can under this bill you can no longer separate the boys and the girls' clothing or merchandise. Just can't be done. AB 873. So, as an example, which was a good example, let's say if you're a manufacturer of razors, okay? And you're doing men and female razors. So you make one of the razors pink, and the other one might be stainless steel for the guys, right? You can no longer price them differently. They have to be the same price. Even though it costs you more and the packaging might be more to put that pink razor in a package that looks female. So what they do is they say, it's got to be the same price. I don't care if it costs you more to make that. It has to be the same price. If you're charging $5 for the guys, you have to charge $5 for the girls. AB 873. Again, government is trying to tell you what to do, who's a boy, who's a girl, what price it should be, what it shouldn't be. The state of California, once again, involved in nonsense. AB 2712. Now, I'm going to tell you this. This is not working in the socialist countries. If you look at Sweden, you look at Denmark, who do this, they are literally going to stop it because it's no longer working. So, with the state of California, if you are 18 and over, you will automatically get $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month. Now, in Denmark and Sweden, they're doing this. But the problem is that people are not in those countries, in the EU, in Sweden and Denmark, they give this $1,000 to students. And you get this $1,000 every month. However, instead of taking 4 years, you're now taking 6 years and 7 years to finish school. Because those guys don't want to work and they want that $1,000 a month. Now, the reason the state of California is doing this is they think it will help the poverty level, because California has the highest poverty than any other state in the union. They have the highest amount of homeless. Now, the problem with giving $1,000 to a homeless individual who has drug problems and mental problems, what do you think they're going to spend that $1,000 on? It's not going to be buying food, and it's not going to be buying clothing or trying to better themselves. It's going to be on drugs. They now got $1,000 more a month that they can spend on their drug habits and drinking habits. So, again, here's what California has become. They become a socialist state. They have become this state that says government is in control of every single business, every single family member, And they're going to control you with that $1,000 and all these other bills that control what you can and cannot do at a business. They did it with AB 5, which the Republicans are trying to repeal, but the Democrats just don't want to do it because AB 5 did away with independent contractors. That's how dirty and corrupt that the state of California, people are saying California is not a socialist state. Yes, it is. When they are so into your business and telling you how to run your business and what products you can and cannot sell and what pricing that they should be, and that they're going to give you $1,000 a month, and they're going to do all this stupid stuff that is socialist and never works. So expect more companies to move out of the state of California because California has become a pure 100% socialist state. Now there's another bill there that wants to take over and have the state run PG&E. Now when have you ever known the state of California or any government run an electric company and do it well? It has never been done. They do not know what they're doing. Those of you in Northern California should be alarmed at this, to have the state of California pricing your electrical. It's going to be expensive because the state of California, they want that money. And they don't care how much it's going to cost you because they're going to get that money out of you somehow, some way. We have a problem, and that problem is that we have a state that has gone out of control. And what I do not understand is why the people who have remained in the state of California are either not picking up and moving out or voting those stupid politicians out of office. I do not hear any outcries from any California people, except in my circle, but anybody in the state of California that's saying, okay, we have got to get rid of these people in Sacramento. They are trying to destroy our businesses, our lives, our communities, and everything else by using failed socialist systems. So if you look at all of these bills that are, it's only the first few weeks, 3 months of the new legislative system, and they're not there full time. But these are the stupid bills that are already ready to vote. And I bet you 100% of this, they will all be passed. The one good bill that I do like, and I really like this bill, because it addresses a homeless problem, that is to allow churches to build dwellings on their church property to house homeless, which I think is a good bill. There's another city out there that built a whole bunch of tiny houses. I love the theory of tiny houses because you can put so much in such a small place and create a home for individuals. And there's one city, and I can't remember what city it is, but it's out there, and it's creating these tiny homes. They all look the same, but it's a tiny home that they can move in and they can move out. And I think it's such a great idea. But here's the problem: the state will legislate that it's okay to build that dwelling for the homeless on church property. But the problem is it is the local government who controls the building permits. And will they go along with it? Because we've got some really stupid people down on the city and the county level too. So as I'm talking to you about this, I want you to understand that what happens in your legislators, what happens in legislatures, what happens in the Congress, I want you to know, when Nancy Pelosi passed this bill for the $8 billion for the virus, there was a lot of pork in there. A tremendous amount of stuff that had to do with different deals that had been made behind the scenes. That bill was loaded with pork. It had so much pork in it the pigs were running from it. That's how bad it was. And that's the problem with a lot of these bills, is that as you read through them, especially on the federal level, there is a whole bunch of nonsense built into those. People attach onto them a whole bunch of other bills. A good example. I'll give you a good example. There was a transportation bill that was to deal with truckers and all kinds of different aspects of transportation. But within that bill, there was a tiny bill that made it illegal to have more than $10,000 in a foreign bank account. You had to report it. The new rule said that you had to report it to the Internal Revenue Service on your 1040, and you had to report it directly to the Treasury Department. And there's an online system that you go through to do that. That was hidden within the bill. Now, if you think that I talk too much about politics, there's a good reason. Because there's a whole bunch of things that happen within the Congress and within the state legislatures that hurt American business. I just ran off a whole bunch of assembly bills that are in the California state legislature right now being thought about that could do a whole bunch of damage to small business. Create a whole bunch more red tape, a whole bunch more red responsibilities, mandated responsibilities from the state on small business, on any business in California. So if you really have to, listen, I am at the point now where I have to beg you guys. I have to beg you guys to make sure that you're paying attention to what's happening in your states. And pay attention to what's happening in the Congress. Because listen, Nancy Pelosi says to push all of these bills to the Senate side for them to vote on. Let me tell you, those bills that they have sent over are stupid bills. They're worthless bills. They're bills that the Democratic Party works on every single day to make it more difficult for business and more difficult for everybody to work. That's what they do. That's all that they do. So you have to, when Nancy Pelosi says she sent over all these bills, they're worthless bills. That's why the Senate holds them. Thank God we've got another party in the other side of the Senate that says, these are not good bills for America, so we're going to hold them. We have problems in the state, problems at the local level, problems at the county level, problems at the federal level, where we have politicians who are designing laws that increase the risk of doing business in their state, especially in California. I do not know. Listen, I moved out of the state of California this last July. I hated to move out. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. That is where I started my business in California. I had to move out. I could not take the regulations anymore. Now, I'm still representing clients in California, so I have to keep up on it every single day. There's something new happening. But you can't just let it go by the wayside thinking that the government knows what they're doing, because California has no idea what they're doing. They have no idea, nor do they care about the damage that they're placing upon businesses in the state of California. And the problem I see is that there's no one there fighting for small businesses. No one there fighting. Listen, the Chamber of Commerce there, I was a member of the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. It was so stupid and so political that it always sided on the wrong side. It never protected small business interests. Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce is worthless. I've been there. I've sat up there on those committees, and I'm telling you right now, it's worthless. No one is fighting for the small business guy in California. I fight for my small business guys from over here in Florida to protect them in California. But let me tell you that if you do not pay attention to what the states and the local governments and the federal governments are doing in their legislation and know what's inside those bills that are going to harm you, you've got to begin to speak up. You've got to begin to know what's going on. You've got to be able to fight back and speak back. Because right now, the Democrats are in charge of both houses. And they are damaging the state of California. You may not know this, but the state of California, because they collect so much in taxes, they have got, I think it's like a $20 billion surplus. But they're still after more taxes. That's why they went after AB 5 on independent contractors to make them all a W-2 employee so that they are collecting those payroll taxes and workers' compensation and everything else from small businesses. It has become an unthinkable thing to even think about California as a state where you are going to be treated fairly. Where you can start a business and know that you can continue running that business without more and more red tape coming down from the state legislature, because it's become a socialist form of government in California. From the state level all the way down to the city level and county level. This is their mentality at the moment, is to take control over you and me in the state of California. So what can we do about it? Well, one thing, we've got to pay more attention to what's going on. And the second thing is, vote the individuals out who are creating or even thinking about creating stupid bills. Bills that are going to hinder every person in the state of California. And if that bill is going to affect your business, you had better stand up and you had better tell them, enough, California, enough. I tell you, I think about this every single day because I'm dealing with so many issues in California at the moment. This AB5 has really hurt a lot of my clients. And I tell you, I have pounded, I have wrote letters, I have sent emails, I have texted, I have done Twitter, I've done everything that I possibly can to get the information to these legislators that what they're doing is bad. But what the problem is they don't care. Because they have the mentality that socialism, government control, is the only answer. Capitalism is dying very quickly in California. And why businesses continue to stay there when they can do businesses that are in friendly states that want them there, who want them to create jobs, who want them to do all this research and building new products, and they want them there. And there's tax incentives of going to Arizona and Nevada and Texas and Florida. You have no state taxes there. California has the highest state taxes in the nation. Can you imagine trying to conduct a business there and worrying every single day how you're going to meet your payroll taxes and workers' comp payments and the federal income taxes and the state income taxes at the end of the year? It is overwhelming to a lot of small companies. You're going to see a lot of people work under the table because they just can no longer be hit with all of these taxes by the state and local and federal governments. So you have an option. The option is to continue as is. Don't worry about it. Or you can fight back. If something is affecting you, if what happens in Sacramento affects your business, you'd better speak up. And you'd better choose something much better than the Chamber of Commerce, because they don't do anything except go after your membership fees, and that's just about it. That's why I'm done with Chamber of Commerce, because I do not see that they help small business one iota. Not one thing. They will side on the side of government, but they'll never side on business. So this is where we stand right now in California. We have a whole bunch of bills that are worthless bills. They're bills that will just pack more bags out of the state and move them to other friendlier states. And yet I see no voices in California that's speaking up and fighting back to save this state. Okay, that is enough. That truly, truly is enough. I think I have depressed myself. Every time I think about the beautiful state of California, it really puts a pit in my stomach, and I tell you, I pray for you guys every single day because I know how it's so frustrating, especially if you care about the state and your communities and your families. But you can't do anything about it because it's dominantly controlled by the Democrats in the state house. And you hear all of these bills coming out of the state of California, and you wonder, have they lost their mind? Because they show no care to a Californian. This is Mike Lodge. Listen, send me a text. Do you have any comments? Send it to me at text it to me at 818-252-5682, 818-252-5682. And if you want to work on something, if you want to get something done in Sacramento or in your local governments, let's work together on it. Let's see what we can do. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT. I'll talk with you soon. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content